what's up everybody? Please let me know that you guys can hear me now and the audio is coming out good and you can also see my screen. That will be very helpful. If you're new in this class, just remember that you can chat with me right here or let me know what's going on the side chat. If you know where the side chat is, firstly look at your left panel, hover over my name and then click watch stream, and once you're watching the stream you'll see at the top right a little square box that says show chat. Just click on that and let me know right there whatever your questions are about the suite. So let's get started with the class today. This is gonna be a very exciting class. We have a ton of things to take a look at. If you are new and you don't know how to use the indicators, don't worry. Stay around. We're gonna go ahead over some setups today and some strategies. Nevertheless, we have already the fixed class with the audio issue that we have previously already uploaded to the class recordings. So let's take a look at the class recordings right there. Let me plot it here for you. And after this class, just go ahead and watch that last class recording that we have in here. So we have two videos uploaded there. I watched them both. The first one, it is the old version, and the new one, it is a new version. Nevertheless, I do explain a couple of things differently, and we're gonna be keep updating them. So all right, let's take a look at first at Bitcoin, because we always do a follow-up on Bitcoin, and we always say that we have two plans in here. So we have plan A and then plan B. As you can see, plan B actually happened went out almost perfectly. I mean, almost right out of the line. This time the timing was like flawless. I mean, the plan A was there yet. It did not work out, but that's how we actually planned for it to go. All right, so let's get started with Bitcoin. And also, guys, if you want to take a quick look onto any trade that you may be right now, or you're looking to get in, or maybe just any coin that you wanted to take a look at, please let me know, and I'll be taking a look at two assets after Bitcoin. And then I'm gonna remove all of the indicators and re-add them, and then make a quick configuration with you guys as best as I can. So you can look at these colors as a ruler. So basically how strong they are, correct? So you can see right down here we have blue and then greenish or grayish, right? So that means that it's a kind of like a medium strength, right? And then, for example, in this case, you can see blue, purple, or kind of like a gray, blue, purple, and then red. That means this red, it's a very high resistance, right? Or high support resistance, order block, correct? You can see it here, you can see it here, and you can see, for example, right here low, because it only have one single gradient. So the more gradients we have up front, the higher the resistance or support this order block will be affecting on the price. So remember, order blocks are magnetic and breaker blocks are support and resistance, or static support and resistance. So let's see, Devayo, has the class started? Because I cannot hear anything. Yes, the class has started. So all right, I cannot hear. All right, you can hear now. Great, that's amazing. Yes, it has started. Oh, thanks Necessary for picking up that one up there. So all right, we can see that we were right at huge resistance, right? Therefore we were going down, right? And remember, we already have seen this formation in here. So let me go back into the settings so you can see what I have. Remember, the point of this class is not for you to copy my settings, because most likely you're not gonna like them, or you might be doing better with your own settings. Remember that this is not about how I do the trades, but the process on how I get my settings to make the trade, so you can replicate the process and get your own fine-tuned settings, right? So at this point we have order blocks on big. They are not breaker blocks, because if I just take them, basically we're gonna have empty breaker blocks like that. So I just rather like them to see them like that, and just assume that once I broke them, they're just breaker blocks, correct? I'm not using breakout structure, neither fair gap value. The wedges are on big. Remember that my advice in here is to start with the macro and then move your way down into whatever you have in here, a tradable setup. So remember that based on this, it doesn't guarantee you that you're gonna have or you don't have to have a formation. It will show you the formation once it's there. So just like for example, just like a satellite imaging to track hurricanes, that doesn't mean that because you have the satellite tracking system that you are going to see a hurricane if there is no hurricane, correct? So whenever there is a hurricane, well, then you'll be able to see it through that tool. The same here with the wedge detection system, right? If there is no wedge so far, then you will not be able to see it, right? But if you have a wedge, or a broadened wedge, or a double top, or a double bottom, or a head and shoulders pattern, or an inverse head and shoulder, well, then this tool will be showing it to you. All right. So that is some of the most frequent questions that sometimes you guys said, well, I turn it on, but I don't see any. Well, maybe because there is not any relevant figures to show you, right? So start with macro, move your way down until you see the best fit triangle. So usually the bigger the triangle, the bigger the formation, the better the fit, and the better the fit, the best the results on the breakout, right? So at that point, we were breaking through. We had already bounced from this zone, and we were heading to the retest. Remember, I always say this is not about the breakout. It is about the retest, correct? So we were saying that the retest itself will be measured by the flip of the ribbon. And I can see I delete everything. So let me just hit back. Here we go. This is much better. So let me just remove this one. And also remove this, and this. All right. So it was going to be defined by the flip of the ribbon. Remember, whenever we were at support, which was this breaker block. So let me just turn this one off, or better yet, just turn this one off. You can see the price breaking through that support, which was the low breaker block, correct? And as we broke through, we also broke through this zero line, correct? So we were looking for the flip of the ribbon. Remember, look at that, plan A on blue, and look at that, plan A on blue, correct, with the flip of the ribbon at zero line, or plan B on white at the flip of the ribbon at the bottom. So can you guys see what I was talking about? Did you guys follow in? Did you guys took the trade? Well, I sure did. So basically, I'm already into a long. We're talking to longing the retest as we had flip of the ribbon, or longing the support as we had flip of the ribbon. And so far, I took it somewhere around here. As you may already recall, I like to have it a tiny bit before it's touching that support, and as I have flip of the ribbon. So let's take a look at this one. So enter right there, and as you can see, I already had the flip of the ribbon, correct? And then I just was waiting to touch that support. So I want to have both support and flip of the ribbon, or resistance and flip of the ribbon, if that's what I'm talking about. All right, if that's what I'm looking for in terms of either longing or shorting. So at this point, remember, the next thing that I want to be doing is moving my stop to entry. So let me just take a look at, for example, where I enter, somewhere around here. So it wasn't right at the bottom, it was slightly above, right, mostly at the same zone here. So where did I place my stop loss? Well, you guys know me, and I like to shield my stop loss with some support or resistance, depending if that's a case for a long or for a short. And then extra credits for whoever can tell me what else I do with my stop loss. Anybody, guys? What do I do after shielding myself with in this case, a support? What else do I do to my stop loss? Move it? No, not just yet. I add something, so I make it bigger. But how do I make it bigger, and why do I make it bigger? Oh, I see many. Yeah, volatility. Yes, I did, Sultan. Yes. So just let me grab a piece of paper and write down your names, because I'm gonna be giving some XP today. All right, I got you guys. So let's take a look at who else said it. So Saidin Sultan, you're gonna have 15 points today. Said Sultan and Wix. Yes, let's take a look at that one. Nailed Pasanta Kumar also nailed it. Saying to that compensation. Yes, that's the same. Which room? Wiggle room. Yes, yes, you remember that one. So guys, just so you remember, I usually called it the wiggle room and then gave a little bit more context about it. So the usually the lifetime members or the veterans in the classroom still call it the wiggle room. So yeah, I give it a wiggle room. So I know you have lifetime, but let's give you some XP anyway. Let's do NAM 1 on. And River Stone. Yes, we take a look at the weeks. So also River Tone. Yeah. Alright, quick question. How about NASDAQ? What about NASDAQ? Alright. Can you explain me a little bit? What's that? Quick question. So what about NASDAQ? NASDAQ the trader, NASDAQ the asset, and what about it? Explain me a bit more, and I'll be trying to answer your question. Oh yeah, overhead or going up? I don't know. I haven't looked at it, and we could be taking a look at that after taking a look at Bitcoin. Remember, I'm gonna be taking 2 assets, so already have one. I believe it was Disney. And then I don't think anybody else suggested anything. So yeah, we could take a look at NASDAQ if you'd like to. So let's take a look at right now. And again, Arik, I never said if it's going up or down. I never said that, just so you understand. So is it going up or down? My answer always will be I don't know, right? But I can do an analysis on that and then make a plan for it. Remember, the point here is that we don't need to know as far as we have a plan. And remember that being prepared is the best of the plan. So remember, kind of like hope for the best and prepare for the worst, correct? That's why we always have plan A, the best, and plan green again. Let me just, guys, 1 sec. And so I can be able to take a look. All right, guys, so it seems like everything is already set up again. So sorry for that interruption. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if it was Discord or internet connection. I have no idea. So, yep. Remember, guys, that I was saying that being prepared is the most important part in here because that way you are expecting basically everything. So if it goes up, then, all right, I mean, that was the plan, right? And then if it goes down, well, then again, that is, again, the plan, right? So that's why we prepare for plan A or plan B. And that is basically the way we take it. All right, so let's take a look at here. All right, so we have a support, and as we spoke about, we gave it a wiggle room. So how do I know how much room do I gave it here, or how do I measure my wiggle room? Just like you guys told me so, which is the volatility of the wick size, right? So I want to take a look at the wick size and make them an average calculation of a wick size, right? I don't want to measure neither the largest one, either the smallest one, right? I want an average size candle. So at this point, this is looking good. Let's do some like closer, right? So looking good, almost there. I mean, that's basically the exact same measurement. Look at that. They're very nicely set. All right, so I'm gonna place that one below my shield and then extend my stop loss till that volatility check, right? I do this in case we wick past that support. Well, then that will be to prevent me getting stopped out and then going the other way around. All right, so now I am ready to start taking some profits. So now is the time where we take some early profits, right? Remember that we do that, and as long or as soon as I have my first candle in the green, both body and wick, I will be moving my stop to entry, correct? And yes, the trick, once I hit TP1, which actually was right here, I'll be taking out 50%. You got it, buddy. So yeah, what's up, FX Genius? Yo, what's up? And once I have taken 50% out, well, then I need to define also my TP2, right? So let's redefine TP2. I think it's gonna be somewhere either here or here. So since we already are kind of like arranging, let's just measure it all the way till this zone. So let's take a look at if we have some support and resistances, right? So now is the time to make that analysis. All right, shift stop loss to entry point. Yes, I mean, we already have. Nice. Percent commodity. Yes, you're correct. We already have because we have our first candle in the green, and we already have taken some money out, so 50% out, correct? So now let's start finding some Confluence, shall we? All right, so for finding Confluence, let's head over to the market dynamics pro in here, and then let's take a look at it if we have something else. So I'm going to start with a proper support and resistance zone. So for that, I'm going to be marking the bottom end of this lines, all right, of this breaker block. So we have a breaker block in here, another one, and another one down here, right? So now that I have those breaker blocks, let me turn them off, disabled, right? And then look for something else. I will also be disabling this one because I already have it into consideration right here, right? And it's already broken, so I'm not gonna be taking a look at that one. So now I'll be adding my support and resistance, right? So let's start with local mode. Let's have it on chart. Remember, chart means whatever you have up here, correct? And then how many lines I want to see. All right, maybe 4. Might be a little too few lines, right? Because I want to see so much more kind of like in the middle lines in here. Why? Because I want to find where it's going to be the next Confluence zone, correct? And so far I see I don't have much of that volatility, right? And I also don't see my dashboard, so I need to enable my dashboard. Where is it? Well, it should be, oh, it's turned off. Yeah. All right, so let me do local mode chart, and instead of 4, let's increase to 5 and see if I have something in here. Just wait for that eye to stop swirling around. So it did. All right, so 5, 6, or even 7. Let's wait for that eye, and it seems that we have 3 space. All right, so I don't like to go above 7 just because it just gets too noisy. But I mean, yeah, 10, which is not such a like a huge support and resistance. Nevertheless, again, this is the 4 hours, so support and resistance are good to go. So we are hovering over that support and resistance, and we are waiting for maybe a flip of the ribbon, correct? So when am I gonna be maybe hedge switching? Well, then I'll be hedge switching as I see the flip of the ribbon happening to the other way around. So like this. If I see this somewhere in here, that's what I'll start joining or entering for a short, correct? Because so far we have broke through, retest, off we go, another retest, and off we go, correct? So I will not be entering just now. Let's still count maybe one more candle, or as I see the flip of the ribbon. But the important part in here is that the ribbon, it is right now at the green cloud. Remember, that the green cloud, it means that we're mostly in upwards momentum, right? So most of the times we're either gonna be ranging or moving up. If we see it ranging on green flag, well then as soon as we're getting close to flipping back into the red, just get out of that trade. So for example, let's take a look at it here. The same exact thing happening. So going down, right? Going down, flip of the ribbon, right? Flip of the ribbon, like here. Moving up in off support. So moving up off the breaker block that we had in there, right? And getting close to the 0 line. Again, look at that, getting at the 0 line right now, making a little bit of that range. That's why I'm not quite just right now entering for a short, because I want to see if it's gonna flip or if it's gonna break, correct? And as we broke through, and let me mark this one, look at that, as we broke through, well then, it is not about breakout, it's about the retest, and that retest makes it for the next upward movements. Nevertheless, we already are in a long, we enter in a very amazing position, and our stop loss is already at entry point, so we have nothing to lose. And furthermore, we already have taken some profits. So everything from now on is just pure profits and no worries. So basically, we are golden right now. So let me just remove this. And any questions on why I have not yet entered for a short, or any questions about what we're talking about right now? Santa, what's up, buddy? Explains once again. All right, what part do you want me to explain? Like from starting on what? Because we already have 37 minutes. Old candles example. Oh, got it. All right, got it. So the example is I'm taking a look at what's happening with this flip of the ribbon, right? Which is the same one that we see in here, and why I have not yet entered for a short in right now. So again, look at that flip of the ribbon at support. Look at that flip of the ribbon, and we had support right there. Remember, we had right there the breaker blocks on big. So let me do that, and also reduce this ones too. I'll keep it at 5. So remember that right here we had the breaker block at this zone, and also we had which other thing? A narrowing wedge. Remember? Take a look at that. Here we go. Look at that at support zone, right? Or before, just right before support zone, right? As we have flip of the ribbon. So again, look at that at support zone as we have the flip of the ribbon. Do you see it, Presenta? So far, so good? Let me know. Yes. All right. Now, let's take a look at the reaction. So we see the flip of the ribbon at support, and what's the reaction? Going up, right? Till where? Till we have a resistance in this case, right? Or if you compare it right here, look at that. Where did we start going up? Till we had, or we're touching the zero line. I'm talking about this, the flip of the ribbon, right? Or the ribbon itself is touching the zero line. And what happened? We see it ranging, a tiny itty bit range. You see that one, Presenta? All right. So now look at where we have the ribbon. Where is the ribbon right now? You let me know. Green, but not green. What am I just talking about in here? Yeah, I mean, yes, you're correct. It's green. Yes, exactly. At the zero line. Yes, you got it, Presenta. Yes. So right now we are almost or at the zero line. So what are we expecting to see? We're expecting to see the same reaction or something similar, correct? Consolidation, yes. And as you can see, let me remove everything so you can see it much clearer. Well, we have 1, 2, 3 candles that are not actually going that far, right? In fact, you know what? Let me just remove all of the scribbling because we already have seen how plan B actually worked. So let me do a snipping here just so we can have proof that we actually predicted it correctly. Let's see in new here, and here we go. Let me just copy and paste it here with you guys. So copy. Here it goes. Just so you also have that step, because I'm gonna remove everything here, so we can do it over. All right. So if I, for example, grab this tool in here and I do this, I can have, look at that, those candles. And if I compare them with these candles, look at that. If I lined the bottom of this candle with the bottom of this candle, look at that. I mean, I'm almost perfectly there, right? And this is what I'm expecting to see this week impacting against this order block, but also to have a flip of the ribbon. If I have flip of the ribbon at resistance, what am I going to be doing, Presenta? Sell. Yes. Opening. Yes. Opening a short. Correct. If, and let's remove this. If I see this thing going again sideways, but I see it breaking through, what am I going to be doing? That's a tricky question. Wait, exactly. Why waiting? Because we already are in a long, correct? So yes, waiting because we already are in a long down here, right? We enter for a long in here, and we already are in a long. We already take some profits, and we're just waiting for it to move, correct? Yes, waiting. If you did not enter for a long and you're waiting again to enter for a long, don't rush. Wait for it. So we have this impact in here. Go back down, see this one flipping up, and as soon as you see it flipping up, enter for your long in here, right? And set your stop loss somewhere around here. This is going to be, and let me make it very, very clear, this is going to be a very, very dangerous entry. Why? Because your entry was down here, and we talked about on Friday. sorry, on Monday, right? We talked about this on Monday. So this will be a very risky entry. Nevertheless, if you are not into a position and you really want to get in, that could be another position to enter. Nevertheless, it's crazy important for me to let you know that this is not financial advice, right? This is only what I would do in that situation. So again, I will be entering here. I'm not saying that you should. I'm just saying that I could be entering right there, right? Because it's not about the breakout. It's about the... Anybody? It's not about the breakout. It's about the retest. Yes. Or the pullback. Yes, absolutely. The shout out, Etheric buddy. You are on fire. Nice to have you around, by the way. And RefBet VP again. Thank you very much. Davayo, what's up? Yes, retest. Santa Kumar. Yes, guys. It's about the retest. All right. That is amazing, guys. So let's remove this everything, right? And let's try. Now, let's do a cool exercise today. I do remember somebody was on Disney. Please let me know what is the ticker of Disney and let's take a look at it. But I will be removing all of my indicators and re-adding them as I previously did with the previous section, and we'll go over it. All right, so this one day, correct. All right, so let's do this. And here we go. This is it, right? Disney. Alrighty, so take a look at that one. All right, 4 hours, a little bit choppy, but that's all right. Let me remove everything in here. Everything, I'm gonna remove everything, and then head over one day, because I mean, again, that's where we're gonna be starting up. And then let's try to add 8 indicators together. Again, you need to go to your indicators. Stay away from favorites. Stay away from favorites. Pro tip: stay away from favorites. And let's go into invite only scripts and then add the ones that end up with the pro. If you see many scripts in my chart, don't worry about it. They're just the same ones that you have, but these ones are either old versions or the testing versions. So the ones that you have are the ones that we already have improved, debugged, and tested thoroughly. So don't worry about the other ones. So Market Oracle Pro is gonna be one in there, right? And then also I want to see, where's the other one? Prime Oscillator Pro and Market Dynamics Pro, right? So those are gonna be the three that I'm gonna be using. At this point, I'm gonna be turning off Market Dynamics, and let's work with Market Oracle Pro, right? I will also be turning off my oscillator in here, right? So right now, let's do a quick configuration on Disney. So the first thing I need to understand is whether I'm bullish or bearish, right? To understand whether I'm bullish or bearish, I need two things. First, I need trend mode, which are the buy and sell signals. Again, they only are good for buy and sell once they're part of your Confluence information, right? So I need to configure my signals. And can anybody tell me what it's going to be my first entry configuration if I do not know what am I looking at? Like, for example, for me, this is the very first time I take a look at Disney. I've never looked at Disney before, as far as I remember. Yes, I'm targeting 29, and it's gonna be 29 because we have right here this mathematically correct telling me that, mathematically speaking, we have a 29 sensitivity or tuning as the best result possible. Nevertheless, mathematically speaking doesn't mean that your brain could not process it other ways, right? And usually my own case is that the case. So I'd rather start with the optimal tuning and then improve that optimal tuning to work the same way or with my brain or the way that I perceive the truth, right? So I'm gonna start by doing that. So let's head over Market Oracle in here. Change to trend from trend and reversal, because I also want to see reversal. And the tuning, instead of 9, we're gonna punch in right there 29. Usually I like 43, just so you know, but that is a highly optimized setting for Bitcoin per hour. So let's get started with 29 and wait for that little eye to stop strolling around and see how we're doing it. All right, so it seems very, very nice. Some other thing that I can see here, you can see how from this buy signal, we have a reversal. And from this reversal, look at that, we are blending out of the green into the red. You see that? So that is a gradient. So if you like to see how we're losing that momentum on the trends by shifting the colors, well then you can leave it as is, which is right here in candle highlight. It is a gradient. If you want to look at it the old way, you can do trend static. That means whatever the trend is, that's gonna be the solid color. Look at this little section in here, which is grayed out or purple out. Let's wait for this little eye to stop strolling around, and you will notice that it turns back into the green zone. You see? So it's no longer color shifting, but it is now a solid color. I will show you a quick neat trick to start entering some trades based on that. So far, it's not looking that bad, but it's either not looking that cool on my perception. I have this kind of like a interference, and I guess what I would love to have this buy signal somewhere below or a little bit more to my left. Maybe this other sell signal a little bit more to my left or something like that, correct? All right, so any questions so far? All right, in the meantime, you guys ask me any questions. I'm gonna keep explaining this. So if I want to fine tune this, I can do so. So I could either reduce the tuning, which will make the flags much more sensitive, but will also be adding a little bit more interference, or I could add to it to reduce interference and make the trends much higher, which is the one that I usually lean to. So make the trends much higher, because I mean, look at that. And this is daily, guys. I mean, remember, your entry is not on the flag, it's on the retest or pullback, correct? Remember that? So entering for a pullback, and off we go, another pullback, and off we go, another pullback, and off we go. And then if we can get rid of this one, well then look at this beautiful trade that we would have entered based on this sell signal, right? Can't hear anything. Guys, can you confirm that the sound is coming out good? Please just say sounds good. Great, thank you. Great. Thanks. Just so Elgato Crypto can actually try to debug it. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much for that support that you guys helped me out in here. That is just so amazing. So let's move on in here and try to adjust our sensitivity. One quick thing is that Nathetic, this is a question for you. Are you trading it on the daily, or are you just doing the analysis on the trade on the daily? Because in my case, I would be trading it on the 4-hour, but just like you, making the first analysis on daily. So let me know a little bit more on how could I be approaching to it, because that will have a big impact on how I configure my trend mode. I'm doing it in 15 minutes. All right, we can also do, I got on the daily reversal up. All right, so you got on the daily. All right, so let's do that. You got in here. Well, so far it seems okay. In fact, it seems amazing so far. Why? Because look at that, we have a support here. I manually just did this, right? This is kind of like my own way to take a look at this. But we still don't know if we're bullish or bearish, right? Because we could either, I mean, look at that. We are downtrending so far. Look at that. We are downtrending so far, right? So far, I mean, this is good till this zone, and this is all manual. We're gonna go over the tools so we can see how much or how we can improve that one, right? So, all right, let's move into right here another sensitivity. I would add, all right, then we are very close to 30. Let's try to 35 so we can see a big change in the chart to see if we can actually get rid of that interference. I'm looking at this interference, and I'm also looking at this position of the flags, right? I know I will be moving this buy signals far to my right, yes, but look at that, I got completely out of that interference that I had here. Maybe that was a little bit too much. Why? Because I would rather enter for this reversal, right? Nevertheless, this was a very successful trade, and it's not your entry on the flag, it's on your pullback, and off you go. On your pullback, and off you go. On your pullback, and off you go. Correct? So far, seems like 30 is doing a good, 35 is doing a good job. In this case, we were 29. Let's try 25. I have to see if I can kind of like improve my entry zones. And then I know, and guys, you also need to understand that by lowering your tuning, you will increase the amount of interference that we're gonna have, right? But that's all right. So there's one thing that I'm missing to configure my. Can anybody tell me what am I missing to configure my trend node, which is a very, very important part of configuring trend node? I always have it in my charts. I always say, all right, this is one of the indicators that I cannot live without. Dynamic reactor, you got it, Nateric. I'm gonna give you another point for that, another 15 points for that. So Nateric, there you go, buddy. And who else? Reactor, yes, Ref BP. I'm gonna give you another one. Nice. Cosanta, another one. All right. And reverb stone. Yes, I'm gonna give you points for that. Reverb stone. Here we go. Another one. Nice. So every time I said 1 point, it's not 1 point, are 15 points or 15 credits. So yeah, we are missing the dynamic reactor. That's what I'm having a hard time to figure out whether should I be adding or reducing out of this 29, right? I just wanted to make that example because that is a good way, or that is what most of us kind of like go through when we're new at this indicator. We kind of like go here and then we kind of like look around like a little bit lost and yeah, but what now, right? So for that, I'm gonna be adding my dynamic reactor in here, correct? Also need to prime trend assistance. Yes, Susanta, you are correct. But the prime trend assistance, I will be adding it later into a second layer, and that is very important that you bring it up, not because it's a very, very important part of how to enter the trades, and you nailed that right there, but also because that's gonna be another way to simplify the charts, right? So let's take a look at here. Now, I think we have a very, very nice understanding whether we're bullish or bearish, correct? So can you guys tell me, based on the dynamic reactor, are we bullish or are we bearish? Little fish, what's up? Bear, yes, bear, absolutely, yes. Bearish, absolutely, yes. I think Sultan, yes, guys, we are bearish. So does that mean, if I'm bearish, does that mean that I should be shorting it right now? I mean, I was bearish here, should I short it there? I was bearish here, should I short it there? I am bearish here, should I short it there? No, I didn't. Yeah, I know that one, non-1-1. Yes, you didn't. You are long in, you are doing it actually great, and that is amazing. A big shout out for you, buddy. And also, I want to see you post your gains in the game, and share your profits channel. That'll be amazing. And tag me, please. All right, so yes, guys, we are not entering for a shorty here because we want to be smart, right? And enter in a pullback. Yes, just like our Brown Juji, Saidin Sultan, Prasanta Kumar, Little Fish, just like you guys mentioned. Being bearish doesn't mean that we are always going to be shorting. We want to find the retest to short the market, correct? Nevertheless, NAM one on. He's been here for a long time. He's already an experienced trader, right? And he understands that you can also either go against the trend, which is not advisable, but when you already have the enough of skills developed, or the actual skills developed to find where you can improve your trading, that is amazing. When you can, for example, longing right here, right? Or longing this one, or maybe longing this one, right? That will be a very nice opportunity to long it from the bottom. Nevertheless, you can see that the best case scenario was shorting. Why? Because we were below dynamic reactor, correct? As you can see it, look at that, shorting is higher than longing, right? Again, shorting was higher than longing. Again, look at that, shorting was higher than the long. Shorting was higher than the long. Shorting was higher than longing. And then just the very first kind of like a worth of taking that long, right? Nevertheless, look at that other short, right? Why? Because we're bearish, because we are below dynamic reactor. That means that shorting is always the best case. But as NAM1 on understands, and we also understand, every bull trend has its end, every bear trend has its end, right? So far, we're seeing kind of like a bearish pattern here, and that doesn't matter because if we can take advantage of that, we will also do it. Look at that. Oh, it's not such a bearish pattern. Well, it looked like we had a flat bottom, which we might, right? So maybe a flat bottom triangle, descending triangle, it usually breaks to where the flatness is. So kind of like that. Nevertheless, this could be not flat because we could be going up here. ¿Cómo? No me va a terminar de sacar. But hey guys, again, I don't know what happened with Discord. I've been having some technical issues here. Sorry for that. Let me start again by sharing my screen, go live. Just guys, confirm that. So guys, just let me know that you can see my screen right now and the audio is correct and we can keep going. Yes, great. All right, it's not your when you drop half of the audience does as well. Oh, really? Oh, got it. All right, thank you very much for that. So when it drops, half of the audience does it as well. All right, so I thought it was my internet or something like that. Thank you guys. Thank you, Nataric. I did not know about it, but yeah, I mean, it's just driving me nuts in here. Okay. Does the slope of the dynamic reactor signify anything? Slope of the dynamic reactor. So you kind of like are you referring little fish? So that like how steep is it? The dynamic reactor? Yes. All right. Not really. It's like this zero line. I mean, you can see how much bearishness we have because we keep dropping based on the steep direction of the dynamic reactor, but itself it is not telling you that much, right? What might be telling you a little bit more is like, all right, when you see the pullbacks, if we don't reach the dynamic reactor, that means we have a ton of bearishness, right? The same way, the other way around, look at that. When we pull back and we don't touch the dynamic reactor, we are very bullish. And as you can see, look at that, we actually went up. And again, look at this little tick in here. This tick usually tells you when we are overextended out of a trend, right? So when the average calculation of the trend, it's actually getting out, like increasing that overextension. So it's outstanding out of the calculation volume and volatility of the trend. Therefore, we have a tick which we usually use to take some profits. We have two different ticks. We have the purple ones and the red ones. So just so you understand, usually when I see them on daily, I look at them as trend reversals. Look at that, right? Again, look at going down as one of those ticks and a trend reversal, right? Just that's another quick tip for you guys. When you look at daily and you see those ticks, for me, that's an indication. It's not for sure, but that's an indication of a trend reversal, especially on daily. Yes, mine not showing. What's yours not showing? The tick right there? It's part of the trend mode. Got it. All right. So let me remove everything here and let's speed this one up. And so I'm gonna go to the 4 hour. So I'm doing this because, guys, remember, like in this case, NAN1 on, his main time frame, it seems to be daily. So he should be configuring his chart on daily. But since mine is 4 hour and I also want to do a 4 hour trading here with you guys because it seems like very nice, I will be configuring my trend mode on 4 hours. So I want to go on 4 hour, right? and then start increasing my optimal tuning until I see when I break below dynamic reactor, I want to have one single sell signal, and when I break above dynamic reactor, I want to have a buy signal, and when then I break again below, I want to have another sell signal, and when I break above, I want to have another one, when I break below, I want to have another one, and so on and so forth, right? So my dynamic reactor, it's gonna be how am I gonna be defining my trend, right? Especially when I see big trends like this one and like this one. Why? Because whenever it comes in the future, I already know how it reacts in the past, right? So that is a good scenario to analyze based on previous reaction. So let me go over my market oracle in here and then start with 29 as we had 26. Well, we were right there basically. All right, so 26, I increased it to 29. I'm gonna increase it a bit more, somewhere around 43, which was the one that I usually like. Let's do 43 and see how it goes. Let's just give it 1 sec for this eye to stop scrolling. All right, so it seems much better. Look at that, it's almost right there, but I could even do a bit more of tuning, but I think that's okay. Look at that. As we break below, we have a sell signal. As we break above, we have a buy signal. As we sell below, we have a sell signal. And then look at that, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Until we break above, we have a buy. As we break below, we have a sell, and so on and so forth. So I mean, maybe this one is not quite there yet. That will be basically the only one that I could be maybe trying to get rid. Nevertheless, let's understand that the interference, we will never be able to remove it completely. Nevertheless, this is looking fabulous. Look at that as we break above, nice, as we break below. So remember, when we have a sell, we can either range or go down, right? If we have a sell signal and we range, that is a strength signal, right? So we should be getting ready to buy. When we have a, let me show it to you, see, when we have a buy signal and we range, that is a weakness signal, and then we should be getting ready to sell, right? So that is another pro tip for you guys in there, just so you understand how these things work and how you get the most out of them. All right, so now that I have my proper configuration, I'm using my dynamic reactor, I'm using my sell and buy signals. Now let's listen at Prasantas Kumar's suggestion, which he nails it. So for that, we're missing a couple of stuff, right? We are missing the prime range and prime trend assistance, right? But if I keep adding them in this one, I'm just gonna get so flooded, and I like to see things simple. So for that, I'm gonna be adding another one of this indicator. So Market Oracle Pro, let's do it one more time. Market Oracle Pro, click it once again, right? In this case, since we're not using this one, let's just ignore it. I'm gonna be turning it off just for now, so it doesn't interfere with this. Setting my trend to disable because I already have it at top in here. Candle color highlight, let's disable. Let's do what Japanese default, and then dashboard size, let's disable this one on dashboard size because we already have our dashboard. We already have the dynamic reactor. Momentum wave, we're not going to be adding them right now, but now we are going to be adding the prime ranges, right? Prime ranges, clicking OK and turning it off. Let's see what we got. All right, look at that, prime ranges. So remember that prime ranges are the evolution of the predictive ranges. So if you don't remember what predictive ranges are, let me help you out with that. So let's do the market dynamics. Here we go, Market Dynamics Pro, and let's just turn on, let's disable this one, also this one, and predictive ranges. That's the only one that we want to see just for now. Predictive ranges, correct? And predictive ranges, remember that there are ranges, and look at where we start having those ranges, in which we're gonna be looking at where the price will be ranging, correct? So usually the best range scenario it is, or the best case scenario will be between the golden lines, right? But we also can see right here that when we get close to the green, and I talked about on Friday, what does this mean, or what does it mean when I'm getting close to the green? What should I be doing when I get close to the green light? Long take profits. If you're going for a short, yes, you should be taking some profits. But Ref BP got it mostly right. Long, he said. Well, it's a little more complex. So let me explain a little bit on that. So it's not that whenever we get close to here, we should be longing like right away. No. We start to look for longing opportunities. That is the key, right? When we start getting close to the green, that's when we start looking at, for example, the oscillator, right? Look at this. Let me just bring this up. Okay, we start getting close to the green there, all the way here. And what are we looking at? Look at that. Reversal, and off we go, right? Look at that, another reversal, and off we go. And look at it, not about a breakout, it's about the retest. Again, second entry. If you did not enter, and nicely done right there. All right, so can you see that how that's going on? Again, look at that, going into the green one, looking at my oscillator, right? And off we go. So at the green one, looking at my oscillator, and that's why NAN one on. Got it mostly right. I'm saying mostly because we have not yet seen how it has developed, but his analysis was damn right, was right on spot, right? So a huge shout out for his analysis and his way to trade. But we still need to be humble and acknowledge that we don't know what the price is going to be doing. Therefore, remember the key of success, or the key of winning. It is, what's the key of winning, guys? I know you know that. I know you know it. What's the key of winning? Not losing. Yes, not losing. Absolutely, so not losing, especially for the new members, guys. This is a funny thing that we do here. We try to let you remember when you are under stress on the teaching strategies that I have gained throughout a couple of courses and 10 years of experience in teaching, is that when you are under stress, you cannot learn as efficiently as when you're getting a little bit more fun. And when you have your money on the line, on the fire line, you tend to get a ton of stress. So the thing here is that you keep repeating to yourself this kind of mantras that we pushing here, right? They are meant to be funny. So when you see, all right, what is the key of winning? You have to say to yourself, well, not losing, right? It sounds absurd, right? It sounds funny. It sounds like impossible. But we also teach you what not losing means. Remember, bullish divergence is there. Yes, we have a bullish divergence. Nice. I right there. Santa, you catch it? Yes, bullish divergence right here. So let's just do a quick recap of what not losing means. So not losing means entering for longs at crazy support, right? Not losing means forecasting your analysis. Not losing means being prepared, which means have plan A, and what else? This is important. Plan A, and what else? Present a plan B, you nailed it. Yes, plan A and plan B. Therefore, you will be prepared no matter what, right? And not losing also means moving your stop loss to profit as soon as you have your first candle in the green. Not losing means that you should be taking early profits. This is key, early profits, right? Early profits, it's key in not losing. It's key of winning. And then once you basically have those 5 points, those 5 to 6 points, you're golden. Then now you're just waiting to see if you earn more or where to enter the next forecasted analysis, right? Or you head switch, but you'll be basically protected because there is no way for you to lose anymore. Why? Because your stop loss is already at entry point. So if it goes down, you're not losing, right? You already have taken some profit. So if it goes down, you're not losing because you already took some money out of the market, right? And your stop loss is an entry. And if it keeps going up, right? And you're in a long, you just keep earning. And if it keeps going down and you're in a short, you just keep earning. So we're trying to remove losing out of the equation. So that's why the key of winning, it's not losing, right? So you're gonna hear a ton of absurd things here in this class, and they're meant to be like that. So if you don't understand anything of those absurd things, let me know. I'll be very, very happy to explain you what they mean and what we're trying to teach you there. And another fun thing is that whenever you're alone, repeat it to yourself. I do talk to myself when I trade, guys. It is hilarious, but I do it. I do it every single time. I keep telling myself, key of winning is not losing. I keep telling myself, it's not about the rebound. I mean, it's not about the breakout. It's about the retest or the pullback, because it keeps me calm. It keeps me on point. It keeps me on training. And this is training, guys. So just like you, I am a human. Just like you, I'm a trader. So the feelings that you feel, I feel them too. The same desperation, the same FOMO, the same food, I feel it too. The only difference is that I might have a little bit more experience on dominating my feelings and following training. So I can see your screen. You can't see my screen. Hover over my name to the left, buddy, and see if you can watch the stream. Did that help or not? Guys, can you guys see my screen? Is it streaming correctly? All right, guys. Yes. Mohammed, try to hang out or log out and log back in, or do Control R. It will reboot your Discord, and then you'll be able to. Yeah, do Control R and then join back in. Or in your case, you have a Mac. I see it's Command R or Command R. All right. So let's try to move on in here. So we were talking about the predictive ranges, because we're looking at where the price is going to be encasing itself, right? We want to see where it's going to be ranging. Remember, the most important ones are the golden lines, right? That means that they are going to be where the price bounces the most. That blue line is going to be the most trust line, right? When it breaks through the most. And then we just need to find the range. Like, for example, we could be ranging between the golden lines, right? Or we could be ranging between a golden line and a green line, or vice versa, between a golden line and a red line, or whatever might be the case. So this is a nice indication, so you can see it when we find support. When we go back and hit that golden line, you basically already kind of know, based on your also oscillator, right, and some Confluence, where is that range going to be happening for the immediate short term. All right, so the evolution of these sections or this predictive ranges are this ones, the prime ranges. So prime ranges are the evolution. Why? Because they are not straight lines that you need to encase the pricing, right? Or you don't need to kind of like a guess where is it going to be bouncing off. It is basically following every single candle. You can see bright spots, dark spots. That is a mathematical equation that had taken place at that exact same candle, and plot you point by point where is that predictive range, right, turning or twisting, right? So whenever you can see, whenever we break, we're gonna go find the next one. That is almost for sure, right? There's another way to look at this. You see the dynamic reactor in here, and you see this range. Look at how we are encasing between them both. So remember, dynamic reactor is one of those things that is just so crazily powerful or crazy important that when we get compressed, look at that. Again, we had one of those ranges and prime ranges, and we have the dynamic reactor. And what do we see? Look at that compression, right? And then just blow out where? To the downside. How can we say it? Well, look at that. We had a previous bearish divergence, right? We had a reversal and we broke through zero line. Let's take a look at where we broke through zero line. Look at that. We broke through zero line. One candle after. Here we go. Right there. That's where we broke through zero line. Look at that. Right at the support of the dynamic reactor and support of that range. So let me just clear this up so you can see it. Look at that right there. That's here where we broke through. Look at that. Very amazing, right? So right now you can see that we're going up to that both the confluence zone between the the prime ranges and the oscillator. That is huge resistance, right? So the only thing that could go wrong, it is that we broke through that dynamic reactor, and we also, that zero line, and we also are breaking through the dynamic reactor, but I don't think that's going to be the case at this point in the 4 hour. why is not going to be that case. Look at how much free space or empty space we had here, right? Let me just do it big so we can, or zoom in here so we can see it better. Look at how much space we have right there, right? And we are already breaking through the zero line, right? We had a bullish divergence, right? We have the same head and shoulders line that we usually draw in here. And we're going to be seeing another tool that actually helps to take a look at those lines. So this kind of like a head and shoulders lines, the ones that I call them like that, they're also part of a smart money concept, which are break of structure, right? Or change of character. It's actually break of structure. So just so you know. And we have another kind of like lines to show you and help us identify when we have that early trend reversal, right? So now let's add that one. So let me turn this one off, right? And add another market oracle. So market oracle pro, one more time. Let me just remove this one so we can have them all together. I'm going to turn it off so I don't get like spam with everything in there. I'm going to disable signal mode. Candle is going to be Japanese. Dashboard is going to be disabled. And the other one is going to be prime trend assistance. This is one of a major tool that we have. Let me click OK. Let me turn it on and look at that. Guess where are we right now, right? I usually said it is not your entry at the bear flag, and remember, it's at the pullback. So look at where, first of all, look at where this first pullback. This is your first entry, right? Look at where's your second pullback in here. Look at that, right? Let's take a look at some other ones. Remember, we're looking at the trend assistance and the dynamic reactor. We have a bull signal, right? It is not about the breakout, it's about the retest. And look at where are we retesting and what zone are we retesting, right? And that actually works very, very nicely to start entering some trades. Also, this one works. And let me show you how it actually works. So remember that those lines that I usually say, the head and shoulder lines, because it usually makes like a head and shoulder before it breaks through. Look at that. We have an uptrending line right there, correct? And then we had higher highs, correct? Higher highs, higher lows. And then suddenly we had, what is this? Can anybody help me there? What's that? That is a lower what? Lower low? Yes, Eric, you got it. Yes, lower low. Yes, Rev, VP. Yes, that is a lower low. That usually indicates a change of what? Change of character, right? Change of character, which we have on the market dynamics floor. So yes, change of character or a breakthrough, a trend, right? So just so you guys understand, and this is for the new members and veteran members, the smart money concept, it's something that it was already in trading. So it's basically support, resistance, and trend rebate into a new name, right? So if you take a look at this, I can do a trend analysis. Look at that support, right? And it's not about the breakout, it's about the retest, and off we go, correct? Or it's about the pullback, and off we go. And you can see, I mean, I could even not even call it a change of character, and it will fall in line with that break of the trend, right? So however you want to call it, the important thing here is that you understand that we're looking at a lower low, which breaks the pattern of a uptrending movement, correct? All right, so after, and we usually do this manually, we take a look at here, higher highs, higher lows, and then we have a lower low, right? And after the lower low, we're looking for the for a lower high, and that will be our entry, right? On the pullback on the higher high. But we will only know about this high after we had this low, manually speaking, right? If we do our analysis manually, that's where we're going to be knowing it. So basically we would have entered somewhere after the rejection after this candle. So I will be entering here or here, right? Once I have the confirmation that I'm going down and also broke through that zero line, all right? But with the trend assistance, let's see, where did that trend assistance actually let me know? let me know there, even before the lower low, right? So your entry is not here. Don't get me wrong. No. It is telling you, hey, buddy, we're having a change or a possible change of trend right here. Are you looking this? And you go, all right, look at that. Higher highs, higher lows, and then it's looking like a lower low. All right, I see you, I feel you, right? Well, then we're looking again to enter all the pullback, and there we go. So we get early notification when we're gonna have a change of trend right there. All right, so does that make sense, guys? Yep, great. All right, so what's happening at this point? What's happening? We are right at the trend assistance, right? And let's see what happens once we break through the trend assistance. What happens? We have another trend assistance. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a very nice support and resistance zone, correct? But look at that. Lower lows, oh, a higher low, right? Higher high, and higher macro low. You see that one? And as we break through major resistance and we have a change of character, we have an early call to enter for a long or change of direction. Remember, bullish could be ranging, and if it ranges when we're bullish, what should we be doing? If it ranges when we're bullish, what would we be doing? Getting ready for a short, or again, yes, you got it right. Plan A and Plan B. I mean, you could not answer it better. I mean, you actually like upstep it, or you upstep my answer. But yeah, let me explain. So when we're bullish, because we're talking about this trend assistance, right? When we're getting bullish, but we see it ranging, we're not having enough momentum to keep going up, and we should be going up because we're bullish, right? So if we don't have that momentum when we are supposed to go up, well, I mean, what's going to happen when we are supposed to go down? It's going to be a major movement, right? The same thing happens the other way around. So we should be falling and we are ranging. Should be falling and we are ranging. So what's going to happen when it's time to go up? Well, then we're going to have a major movement, right? So that's another way to trade on this, on the trend assistance. So let's take a look at where is the momentum. Remember, meter even on the oscillator means what? Means momentum, right? So let's add something else. Let's add the bouncing here into the momentum. Click OK. I'm also going to turn off my my divergences, my hidden divergences, and I do that by dropping the opacity on this too. And I have normal divergences. In fact, let me see. Oh, I like them on brighter red. Here we go. All right. And maybe brighter green. Oh, that's all right. And I'm going to click OK because I want to add, the bands, not the band breakout. Sorry, the bands. Click OK. That will be giving me the squeeze momentum, right? And what's happening with this cloud? It's compressing. It's compressing. So what happens if you shake the can soda or you pop? What happens if you smash or press into your, I don't know, into your Sprite, into your Coca-Cola, into your root beer? Yes, it rises the pressure in, right? It rises the pressure because you are compressing the liquid, right? And then finally it's gonna burst. Yes, and burst is doing, right? It is bursting at this point. So should you enter? No, not at all. Your entry was down here. So what should you do? Well, just wait. You just need to wait for the next movement, right? It's gone. So there's nothing we can do. Remember, this is the point when I tell you guys, this is where your experience or what your experience as a trader needs to come in. Say, all right, if my trade based on my strategy is gone, well, I just let it run. It doesn't matter if that goes to the moon. If that goes to the moon in one single candle, I bet you it's gonna go to hell in the next candle, right? I mean, the farther or the fastest it goes up, the fastest also it goes down. Again, whatever it goes up needs to go down. So if you don't catch it on the way up, you catch it on the way down, right? That's all right. I mean, as long as the market is moving, you can make profits. So don't worry, the market is not going anywhere, especially no Disney. So don't worry if you did not enter this trade. So that's all right. All right, guys. So now is the time to layer things up. So we have predictive ranges. Sorry, we have prime ranges, and we have trend assistant, right? So prime trend assistants are going to be the two ones that we are going to be using. So are we bullish or are we bearish? One more time, and why? Bearish, yes, bearish. And what could a possibility for my next long would be? Let's make this complicated. I want to put some pressure on you guys. I want to long this, right? Let's just forget about that I'm bearish. Well, no, let's not forget about that I'm bearish, but considering that I'm bearish, where is my longing zone could be? There's going to be two zones for longing this. On the pullback, yes, Rash. Give me one price approximation so I can understand a bit better. Breakout of reactor retest, yes, number one. You got it. You nailed it right there. Yes. And break resistance line. Yes, you got it also, Eric. Brown UG after the retest. Yes, after the retest. Yes. Guys, I think you just nailed it. Let me also help you out with the next one. Retest red line. Yes, retest the red line. So I could be longing this in that actually three scenarios. I could be going up and then this line will be disappearing if I break it. So I need to draw an imaginary line. So I'll be going up. This could be my entering point. And now do you see why I call these lines head and shoulder lines? The ones that I usually find a trend. Look at this. If I draw this, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 points, right? And then I can have another line in here, right? You see these lines that I always draw them. Look at what I could be forming here. Does that seems like something that you may recognize? Yes, head and shoulders. Yes, that's a reversal pattern. Yes. Yes, exactly. Head and shoulders. Yes. So that's what I call these lines, head and shoulder lines, because they don't, I mean, I understand that they don't always show you a head and shoulder, but they usually point as a head and shoulder or a change or a reversal pattern, right? So there is one, right? My head and shoulder lines, and I will be relying on my trend assistance to appear. And let me change that color to green so we can actually make it look like it will. So I'll be having some lines in here, like my trend assistance, like this line, right? I'll be having a line right there. So as soon as I see this line here, and let me just move it. Let me see if I can move it. Here we go. Well then, I'll be notified that I might even do the next lower or the next higher high, correct? And this could be my shorting zone and then my longing zone. You see it? So now I'm going ahead 2 steps ahead of the market, right? Nothing guarantees me that it's going to be doing this, but I have already my plan A, right? My plan A will be shorting this area for a little bit, right? And then longing this area till I break the neckline, correct? So just with my plan A, I'm already 2 steps ahead of the market. Why? Because I'm forecasting it, right? See how powerful the things get? I mean, just with a single reaction, you can unleash a chain reaction of steps and analysis that leads you to whatever could happen in the market. You have a solid plan and you're ready to take action, right? So that is the key, you guys. Remember, key of winning is not losing, right? All right. So there's another longing situation in here. You know what? I want to take a picture of this one because I just think it's just looking too good to ignore. So let's take a little picture in here and drop it for you guys so you can also have it. Copy and paste it. Here we go. Nice. All right. So now let's remove everything in the screen. And the next one could be like this. Look at this. Rejection out of the trend assistance, right? I don't think we're going to reject. I think we're going to break. Why? Because I'm not having Confluence. Remember, Confluence is the name of the game. Okay? Confluence is where more than one or multiple indicators are mashing together or are getting together, correct? So where do I have multiple indicators together, or more than one at least? All right, give me one price approximation. Where is my confluence zone? All right, let me help you with that. So we have right here dynamic reactor and prime ranges. Yes, 97, yes, 95, 77, yes, absolutely. So those are, yes, this is the zone, absolutely, this is the zone, right? So that's what I believe, that maybe this trend assistance might not be strong enough because it's by itself, right? As long as I keep going up in here, I will be breaking this one, right? If I see flip of the ribbon, well then, I just take plan B. And plan B is what I want to get to. So remember, not because I have plan A is going to work out. That's why I'm doing plan B. All right, so what happens if my confluence zone, because there's no doubt that this is my confluence zone. There's no doubt, right? But also, there is no doubt that the flip of the ribbon will be guiding my movements, correct? All right, what's going to happen if we have a flip of the ribbon here? That would also mean that I will be rejecting out of this zone, and now I'll be looking to short this section. But remember, my initial question was if I absolutely wanted to long this asset, that I supposed to be shorting. But just to make it hard on you guys, what if I wouldn't wanted to long this asset? Well then, if I wanted to long this asset, I should be looking at the next confluence zone, right? At this point, I only have one indicator. Don't worry, we can go over the rest of it, right? And if I have rejection out of my trend assistance, well then I will be having some support out of my prime ranges, right? So this is going to be the next longing zone. So let's do it right here. Let's do long at this zone, right? Setting my stop accordingly, and then aiming to my next resistance. Remember, taking early profits and then trailing it to whatever that dynamic reactor might be, right? And there's a third one. There's a third one, which at this moment it's just too early to talk about this one. Nevertheless, let's just take a look at it, just in case everything develops that way. But the other one will be just blasting here, right? And as you guys mentioned on the retest after breaking the dynamic reactor, and off we go for this long, right? That will be the other one. I think we're getting close to this one, but not quite there yet. I do believe we have a much better chance to go up, reject out of here, right? Find support, and off we go. And then maybe another retest somewhere around here, right? Depending on the oscillator. So any questions so far on Disney? We have plan A, B, and even a plan C. All right. So we already have basically everything lined up in here. And let's take a look at the confluence. So we already have layer out. Look at that. We have layered out. Dynamic reactor, trend mode, reversal mode, dashboard, and that's it, right? So then we also have prime ranges, right? And finally, we have trend assistance. As you can see, I am already making a full analysis out of only 3 basic indicators and the oscillator, right? So I mean, that is so crazy because we have a ton more of tools. So let's just dive into those tools and see where the main confluence, the strong confluence is, right? And let's see if that pairs up with what I'm already analyzing. So for that, let's use the Market Dynamics Pro. Let's add my Market Dynamics. In fact, let's add 2 of them. So Market Dynamics Pro 1, 2, you know what, let's add 3. And let's turn every one of those off. I'm gonna start configuring the first one. I want to see my order blocks at not micro but big. That's the one I liked it. I'm gonna keep my breaker blocks off. Why? Because I understand that if I go past them, they will become breaker blocks, and I mean I just don't need to be labeled them. I just like to see the colors. It's a little bit more cheerful for me. I will not be looking at break of structure and change of character because I already can determine when I have a change of character or break of structure based on my trend assistance. Remember, I showed you the head and shoulder lines. It's basically the same thing, right? So let's just not use them. Let's not add noise to it if I can get it out of something else. I'm not going to be using the wedges, not in this one. And that will be basically it. So order blocks, and that's it. So order blocks it is. Then one of my favorite ones, in this case, let me turn off everything. So off everything but predictive ranges. Love predictive ranges, guys. It's one of my favorite support resistance, and that will be okay. And the last one, I'll be combining, again, turning everything off. So disable. I'll be combining swing, premium. Oh, here is premium discount zones and swing levels. I like to add from 3 to 4. So let's add 3, right? So swing levels are basically the levels that we had previously on multi-time frame support and resistance, right? So that will be helping me to understand what's going to happen. Also, I'll be adding here, just to not add much more in here, I'm going to be adding here local mode on chart, which means whatever I have up here, and up to 5 lines. That will be it. That will be more than enough to find the confluence. So I already have my base set up in here. So let's start from scratch. Let's even take a look at some other asset and perform a full, complete analysis. I remember somebody actually requested something, NASDAQ, right? Let's take a look at NASDAQ then. So NASDAQ US 100. All right, so let's do that one. US 100. Here we go. It's one of my favorite ones. All right, so what time frame are you looking at, Eric? 4 hours. Great choice. Great choice. All right, so first of all, I want to make sure that my settings are correct. Did you agree with me, Eric? And I'm talking about the only one that I have turned on, this one, right? So Eric, you're gonna do this analysis with me. I'm gonna be asking you a couple of questions and be ready to answer them, right? So great. I like that attitude, buddy. That's gonna get you far here. So nice. So what's the first thing that I should be doing based on my market oracle? I'm going to give you a hint. I should be configuring my trend mode. What's the first step of configuring my trend mode? What I should be doing? If you don't know the answer, that's all right. Give it a guess. And I mean, the point here is that you participate. Tuning, yes. Reactor, yes. Both of them. So since we have, I mean, you can choose between both of them. So Ref, BP, yes, you're correct. And Eric, yes, you are correct. I like to start with my dynamic reactor. That's what I like to start. But since we have right here my optimal tuning, I can start also with my optimal tuning. That doesn't matter, as long as I pick one of those. So first of all, I'm going to be taking a look at my trend and reversal, because I want both on there, right? Then I have my optimal tuning. And finally, I have my dynamic reactor, right? I mean, remember, you can add them both in any order. It doesn't matter, as long as you have both of them. So yeah. Those answers are correct. So now there's one way to know if I like it the way it is. So based on my dynamic reactor, and let me just change that color because that might be a little bit confusing. So let's do white in here, and that would be great. All right. So I want to pair my buy signals or my uptrend signals with the breakthrough, that dynamic reactor. And again, the sell signals with the breakthrough of my dynamic reactor. Remember, it will be different from this. Nevertheless, this works way better for me as OC, right? To accommodate with my own way of trading. Nevertheless, if you want the mathematically more advanced and precise tuning, this will be it, right? That doesn't matter. That might be your optimal tuning, because a computer is way better at deciphering math than us, and we are much better at having ingenuity, right? And that ingenuity lets us not only work better than a computer. So let's not compete against a computer, right? So let's do it our way. But if you like what you see on 24, just keep it on 24. So the point here is whatever works the best for you. Do not get frustrated if your optimal tuning here is not the best tuning that you could have, right? That's why we go over our fine-tuning process, which is in 5 increments, keep going up or down until you can pair an uptrend with your dynamic reactor. That will be one way to configure it, right? So 43 for 4 hours, is that the best result? No. The best result, mathematically speaking, it's 24 or whatever name, whatever number you have in here. That will be the mathematically correct answer for your question. As for 43, and remember, I mean, I haven't looked at NASDAQ for the past week, so this is just my Bitcoin setting. It seems to work very nicely with NASDAQ. So it seems like it's good. Could I improve it? Maybe I could. So is it again 43 the best setting? No, that is not the best setting. Is it what I like to see? Yes, it's getting closer, very closer of what I like to see. So does that answer kind of like your questions, Eric? I know it's a bit confusing, but I'm trying to make it as precise as possible. All right. But by the way, at any point, let me know if you want me to explain anything. The same for everybody here. If you want me to explain something, please let me know, because my point here is to make it easier or as easy as possible for you to get started being profitable. All right. So far, I do like 43. I could maybe try to make it better. In this case, I would try to maybe reduce the agility, despite I will have a bit more of interference, but I don't care, because I have my dynamic reactor and I have this much confidence to look at, right? So I'll be just clicking OK here, and that'll be it. I have my best setup, right? Once I have my base set up, I want to take a look at something important. So this first important part, it is the ticks, because I have one in here. Remember, ticks are good for taking profit, but what it's really showing you is that we're getting kind of like an outstanding or out of the average increase of volatility and volume in the trend, which usually leads to a trend reversal. Look at that. We had this one, or a trend correction, and we went sideways. Remember, sideways ranging is not always very nice because you can make money, but also it's another way of correcting, right? Or going down. Look at that. After a red one, we went down, right? In this case, we went sideways, which is the same thing as going down in a bull trend, right? In a bear trend, it's the opposite. So going sideways is the same as going up, right? Because we're making some money, we're resting, right? So the only difference that this could be an accumulation pattern based on Wyckoff and not a redistribution pattern. But if you want to learn a little more of Wyckoff, just look at or Google its book. It's very nice. It's complex, but it's very nice. All right, now we have one of the sticks, which means I might be able to get into maybe a range or even a trend reversal. Look at that. I've been having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bearish divergences. I've been hitting the overbought lately. Most of the action is above zero line. The void is down here, and we're start having those peaks. Let's take a look what happened once we have those peaks. Let's see. Ranging, having those peaks, and once we start making those peaks, look at that blue one, just like here, and red one, just like here, right? And what happened afterwards, we switch from the void down here to the void up here, which means action up here and the action down here, right? So what happens when the action is below the zero line? We see it falling. All right, so we just need to be a little bit careful, right? At this point, it seems like we're having that flick with the ribbon. We need to see if we have some resistances and then start preparing for a short. So far, our prime score says that we're bullish, and we are gonna be continuing being bullish until we break through that dynamic reactor, correct? So again, not because we're bullish, we're gonna be longing the top, right? We're gonna be longing the retrace and the pullbacks and crazy support, correct? Any questions on where, or conceptually, where are we going to be longing? Or any questions at all at this point? By the way, guys, I still understand that I have not answered the alarm system. I'm going to get there. Don't worry. So, all right, let's move on then. Now that we have our base configuration, also let's start looking for that Confluence. So let's turn on this one. Oh, look at that. Look at that range. Look at how beautiful this double top going down, finding support. Oh, breakthrough. We break it. All right, then we're going to go find the next one. Double top again. Look at that going to the downside or going up. Have we broke it? Not just yet. Do we have something else up there? Seems like it, but I don't know. I bet we have, because we also have a bearish divergence, right? Look at what happened with the previous bearish divergence. We actually went down during that divergence, and we have, I mean, it was this one, sorry. And then based on the other bearish divergence, which was this one, we actually went down again. All right. So we're having another big bearish divergence, which could be indicating that we're going to be at least going to this zone, right? So you can see how we're following the trend. Look at that, right? Therefore, look at that. If you did not enter at this retrace, well, maybe you could have entered here or here or here, right? For those little longs. Nevertheless, again, do not chase after price. Just better wait for a big support. That is my advice, as a friendly advice, right? No, it's financial advice. So let's kind of like do this line. Let's mark dynamic reactor, right? So we have it all in there. So I'm not going to be using any more of this line. So let's take them out of the equation. Let's take a look at the trend assistance, or look at that again. Beautiful Confluence zone, right? So far, I guess I'm going to have the next one here. So this could be the next Confluence zone. So far, so nothing to do there. Let's take a look at the next one. All right, order blocks looking great so far. Nothing at the top, so no resistances. The only thing that we have, it's a very high magnetic order blocks in here. So that is kind of like a little bit worrying, because if we retrace and we fail to locate or to bounce out of here, we might be having a chance to break through this line, because we could be right now not even touching the bottom here, right? So it could be the first kind of like a retrace there. It's not set on stone. Remember, I am just forecasting so far into the future that we need to redo analysis once we're here, if we get there, right? All right, then. Oh, I should not have done that. Let me just remove this. All right, so let's mark the order blocks here. Let's turn it off. Let's turn on my predictive ranges. And where are predictive ranges? Look at that, golden, right? And golden. So again, look at where is my Confluence building up, right? Confluence there, and breakout, fake out, or even there, green one, right? So we see we have another Confluence zone in here. We have two Confluence zones in here. So far so good. So let's turn that one off and this one on. All right, now we are rocking. Look at that. Where do we have premium zone, right? Where do we have this dotted line? This dotted line, let me show you what is it. That dotted line is one of my swing levels. So if you're trying to swing trade this time frame, the swing levels, you would enter at green dotted lines and try to exit at red dotted lines, right? So look at that. Good for an entry. Good for an entry. Look at that. Where is this line? At the Confluence point that we have previously, right? At the next Confluence zone that we have. So we are at the premium. We are at the red zone, right? We also have it here. So we are looking at a retrace. Yeah, potentially. Yes, potentially. But yeah, I would call it better for kind of like a retrace. And maybe we can have this line stopping us a little bit more, and then finally getting to the Confluence zone, and good for a retrace. So that's what I think. And this line is just two 45-degree angles. So I would say like something like this, like accommodating for this same like pattern there. Yeah. So far a good entry point will be on the retrace, right? On where we have the Confluence. And pretty much we're done. Now, let's just configure, or let's just take a look at the prime oscillator or the trend fusion oscillator. So trend fusion oscillator, it's a very nice oscillator, looks so clean, and the important part here is that we have this red dots and green dots that we call for reversals. Look at that, a reversal right at the tick, and we have that reversal happening. So far we're bouncing off the zero line. We have money flow, which is the blue one, going up. We are in the green, so it means we are uptrending so far, and we still have a little bit way to go. So are you going to be entering for a short right there? Not quite there. See, had a bit more to go to the upside. So we're almost there, almost there, almost there. What we need to see maybe is by adding, and let's do that exercise right now so we can compare them both. So let me add another market, what is it? Chart Prime Oscillator. So Chart Prime Oscillator, it should be the Pro. Prime Oscillator Pro, here we go. And let's configure it the way that we like it, or the way I like it. So again, turn this one's off by reducing the opacity, right? Then changing this red to a brighter red. That's it. Turning on bands, and that is it. That is it. No, oh well, one more thing. Under style, scroll down until you see these three white things. The zero line will be all the way up on visibility, and then make it a little bit thicker, and then make it a straight line. The bullish control line will be green and all the opacity, and that will be it on that side. And the bearish one will be red, and again all the opacity, and like that. And green will be negative 95, which was the previous section, or the previous configuration, and positive 95 for the bearish. Click OK. And look at that, almost there, but we're doing that kind of like a double top, so we might be waiting for that other over button here and having that double top, accommodating for the finish of that divergence, and then entering for a short. So any questions so far on how to find the Confluence piece by piece? Looking good. Yes, head and shoulders, Eric. I did got it. Yes. Looking good. Yes, looking good. It's amazing, Eric, that you are looking at so far away from now. Just be careful not to think that it will absolutely happen that way. It could, and it's good for you to overcast it to the future, or forecast it, sorry, to the future. But just do not do not blind yourself of whatever you're looking into the future, compare of what is happening at this point. I mean, again, it is amazing that you do forecast it. That's an important skill. Just when I started in here and I started doing my forecasting analysis, sometimes I just went too far ahead, and that blinded me in whatever was happening at the moment. So just kind of like a little advice, a friendly advice right there. All right, guys. So I think that wraps up today's class. Let's just wrap it up with the alert system that I promised that we're going to be taking a look at today. So for the alert system, anytime, buddy, anytime. For the alert system, let's go over the settings, go to inputs, and then look at for the ones that you want to add. Just click the ones you like, right? That doesn't mean that whenever they come up together, you're going to have one single alert. No. You're going to have one individual alert every single time any of those came into the chart, right? In fact, once you have clicked them, you're going to click OK, head over to the three dots, add alert, and then make sure any alert function call is set. Just like that. Give it a name and click create. This alert will be only created for the time being, or the time frame being that you created on, correct? And let me also read what specific alert we were requested to show, because I do remember it was a very specific one. Let me see. Maybe it's a little bit farther up. how to set the alert for dynamic reactor color change. Example, red to green and vice versa. All right. So that should be in Market Order Pro. Here, click the gear icon. And remember that the market, the dynamic reactor changes, of course, once it breaks through, right? So it is not a change of color, but you can say, for example, let me see. I said strong buy, strong sell, bullish take profit, bearish take profit, reversal up, reversal. Okay, we don't have it integrated in here just yet. Make sure, Rash, if you're still here, yes, you are. Make sure that you place that on the, let me hear it for you. Let me see it here. Under request channel, please. That way it goes straight to our developers and they can add it there. Let me see if we can do it the old way. Just kind of click here, add an alert. And then let's see the condition, Market Oracle Pro. Oh, come on. No way I cannot read it. All right. Buff, average bearish, average profit. Bearish candle, bullish candle, bullish downtrend, reversal, strong downtrend, trend assistant bullish. Crossing up, here we go, crossing up or crossing down. Those are the ones. So crossing up for green and crossing down for red. So that would be it, but nevertheless, it will be much better that we added on the any alerts function call here. So just please place it on the request, and we'll be adding it as soon as possible. Rush 0203, did that answer your question, or do you have any other question? I know I made you wait all the end to the class, so I'm trying to give you the spotting here. So if you have any question, please let me know. I'll be very happy to answer all of your questions. Rash, do you mostly trade on higher time frames, or do you go down lower time frames also? Like, I mean, when I'm trading seriously, I do it on the 4 hours. So when I trade it to actually make a profit, like good profits, right, that I leave off with, do higher time frames, like 4 hours. That is my main time frame, because I mean, remember, the point is not for you to go higher or lower time frame. The point here is that, like, let me ask you a question: are you in the market for fun, or are you in the market to try to make a profit? I mean, this like a casino, or you're trying to make a profit? I know the answer exactly. You're trying to make a profit. So do I, right? So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm trying to make a profit, I want to try to make the most out of my profits that I can, or to make the most out of the market that I can, right? So it's not a question about what time frame, but which time frame or where am I most profitable, right? Where does my brain kind of like reads better the market movement? Where do I feel the most comfortable with? Where do I make most out of my money, right? And where do I catch most of the good trades? So answering that question, it will get you to your best time frame. Yes. Also, like, in fact, let me take your word for that one, and let's take a look at something else. Like, I do Bitcoin most of the time, so let's go over Bitcoin here. And oh, look at that, nice. Again, look at that, out of the support right here, right? Nice. Again, in fact, it's kind of like doing the same as that NASDAQ Bitcoin. So, all right, so let me just remove this. Let's go to this section, because this is a much easier way to understand what I'm talking about. Every market has its kind of like a frequency and amplitude. Just like a wave has the frequency, which is how high it goes, right? And the amplitude is like how far it goes, right? So to know a certain point in the market, you kind of like need to time the market, and timing the market is understanding the amplitude and modular of the wave, right? I mean, we are always arranging. If you cannot see the range, it's because you're either too in or too out, too zoom in or too zoom out, and that's okay. I mean, you don't always need to see it ranging, but yeah. So basically, let's take a look at how long it takes me to enter, for example, a long in here, and maybe exit for a short in here, right? And then let's try to do that over and over. So I will be taking the best case scenarios because that's what I want to time, right? And you can see, look at that, 48 bars, 8 days. So it's around a week, correct? If I move this one, look at that, it almost kind of like goes between half of the week. Look at that, 4 days, right? Till maybe if I go all the way here, 2 weeks or 19 days, right? So you can see that whenever I enter a trade, I can be peacefully waiting around for between 4 days and 2 weeks, right? So it gives me much more time to do other stuff like, I don't know, being with my family or making some other activities and stuff like that. And an important part of this strategy is that you add your alarms. Why? Because you kind of like already know, or you have an idea on how long does that trade is going to take, right? At least for a little while. Like, for example, look at this one. I mean, it was shorter, right? So it was 6 days. Again, almost that week, right? And let's do something kind of like crazy in here that like nobody would have actually kind of like said or think about. So before we actually run up, so it was this one. So where did we enter? We enter on every single lower part. And let's just pull that one, and then it went all the way up in here. Or even better, it's not about the breakout, it's about the retest, right? So let's enter into the retest. Here we go. And guess how many days we had until we start ranging? Like 8 days, right? Again, it kind of like feels of that same pattern that it goes between 1 week and 2 weeks for every trade, correct? So placing my alarms for taking profits, that will indicate me that, hey buddy, it's time to like be messing around and now go take a look at your chart because you're taking profits, or you are kind of like hitting stops, or you're getting ready to enter into a trade. And that's when you kind of like use your time to perform again your analysis and time the market accordingly of what you have. So does that make sense? Yes, exactly. Much more peaceful. And guys, if you are not leaving out of trading, remember that this stage is very important, that you give it the time of whatever you're making to make a living out, right? So for example, before I was a trader, I'm an architect, and architecture was the main activity that kept me learning or putting money into crypto or into the markets, into forex, into commodities, right? So give it the importance of the activity that you're doing right now, that is making you or giving you a living, over just staying in the charts. Because right now you're practicing, right? But if you run out of money because you start forgetting or not giving the importance to your main activity, well then how could you keep practicing or getting better into the market, right? The important part here is that you do not get into stress. And let's just kind of like put a scenario in here. Let's just say that I am an architect and I just cashed my last project, right? I'm having that money on my hand, and I say, all right, from now on, I'm not doing anything about architecture and I'm gonna become a pro trader. Well then, that's bad news, because becoming a pro trader is not like one day to another thing. I mean, you have to develop the skill just like with anything else, right? And then my money start running out and I start feeling that pressure, right? Because now I don't have maybe enough money to live a comfortable life, and I need to start cutting off on important things, right? Or things that keep my mind sane or keep me in low stress, right? And then as that money runs out and I don't have maybe enough or I'm not as profitable to sustain myself on the charts, well, then you start getting desperate. And when you start getting desperate, you become dangerous to yourself. So that's where the horror stories came from, or come from. Most of the horror stories come from. Yes, I think this can fit me a little better. I will give it a try. Absolutely, absolutely. Give it a try. And you know what? Like what I like to do is look at this little button here that says bar replay. Just click it and just don't look where you are at and just click anywhere. Make sure you don't look at it. There, you don't know, or at least I don't remember what's coming up ahead, right? And that's the point. I don't want to know what's coming up ahead. Therefore, I can retrade this one by using this forward play, right? Candle by candle. And then whenever I say, oh, okay, there's a reversal, all right, there's a buy signal, I might be either entering for a short. Well, then why could I be shorting this? Well, because I see a baseline here and I see a top line here, right? So this could be a fake out, right? And I remember, your entry is not on the flag, it's on the retest of the flag, remember? Therefore, I could be maybe making a little profit out of the pullback in here, correct? And then I could be, I don't know, let's take a look at it. And look at that. That pullback did happen, right? Pullback is not about the breakout, it's about the retest, getting ready to long the market, all right? And double top, watch out, watch out. I don't have my, for example, my, here we go, much better. Look at that, breaking through, already taking profits out of the long that I enter on the pullback that I marked, right? So I make a tiny short, I make a tiny long, and right now I'm getting ready to short the market again because I have, look at that, double top, bearish diversion and crossing on the zero line. I would need to see if I have a flip of the ribbon, which I have. So there you go. Like for example, that's how you can start trading it by using the replay button. And that's basically it. And all right, let's take a look at that. I mean, remember that I was getting ready to short. Look at that. Nice. So that's how I practice. That's how you start using the tools that you are available. And you don't need to like sit around 4-hour candles every day, just like, like poking your eyes out because the damn thing doesn't move fast enough, right? I mean, that way you can go back and just play it your way on the time frame that you're trying or you're intending to trade. So, did that help? Ref, BP. All right, guys. So I think it's time to wrap it up. Thank you very, very much for staying around. Thank you very much for assisting to the class, and thank you very much for your questions. Santa Kumar, what's up, buddy? I see you're typing. Do you have any question? Thank you. Oh, thank you. Remember, guys, that this is only possible because of your support. Can you just show multi-time frame setting again, please? Multi-time frame settings. Or like we have multi-time frame for predictive ranges. We have multi-time frame from support resistance. All right, so nail it's very simple. It is not for you to kind of like take a look at my charts, but remember it's just local and chart. So whatever I have on my chart, and then I have up to 5. But as you remember, I just changed them like many times. So make them work for you. Like that is kind of my advice. So all right, guys, thank you very much for being here. I do appreciate your time. I know it's kind of like a long class, but sometimes I just get too excited and I really want to make things clear. So that's why we go piece by piece. I know it might be a little bit slow, but the important thing is that you have no questions when you are on your own. So that is my main goal. So to try to go over every single possible scenario. So when baptized by fire comes and you are all alone by yourself, you can defend yourself because you have the training, you have the skills, and you have the knowledge, right? And you can repeat to yourself every single time. It's not about the breakout, it's about the retest. The key of winning is not losing and act accordingly, right? So whenever it gets a time to fight that dragon, you get on top victoriously showing me your gains in the market. So guys, thank you very much one more time and see you on Monday. Bye bye.